When deciding between living in Ottawa or living in Toronto, both cities have their advantages. Ottawa is the Canadian capital and a great place to tour historical monuments. It offers plenty of access to nature with bike paths along Rideau Canal or even Gatineau Park nearby. Meanwhile, Toronto is Canada's largest city, located on the shores of Lake Ontario, which provides access to amazing city views and cultural attractions. And for those looking for fast-paced lifestyle, Toronto has an abundance of music festivals, restaurants, sports teams, and so much more. And while both cities are unique in their own right, they both offer something special that makes them worth exploring. But before we get exploring, show reel, hit it! Hey everyone, this is Peter 2 and living in Ottawa, and if you want to learn everything about what it's like to work, sleep, play, and live in Ottawa, then make sure to tap that subscribe button and click the bell so you're notified each and every time we do a brand new video. We actually get a lot of people reaching out to us who are curious about relocating to Ottawa, and we absolutely love helping them on their journey. So if you're thinking about making a move and you have questions about the market, feel free to reach out to us. Give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, because we got your back. We're moving to Ottawa. And deciding whether to live in Ottawa or live in Toronto is no easy feat. On one hand, Ottawa offers tranquility, small town charm, and big city vibe combined with a wealth of museums, galleries, and cultural attractions. On the other hand, Toronto is renowned for its being a world-class restaurant scene, bustling nightlife, and a major center on the international stage. Ultimately, it really comes down to your personal preference. Some people may prefer a slower pace of life found in Ottawa, while others will thrive on the energy and vibrant cultural life of Canada's largest city. And whether you choose to call Ottawa or Toronto your home, the decision is certainly a personal one based on what you're looking for. And in this video, we're actually going to cover some facts and details on both cities so you can make the best decision for your family. Ontario is Canada's most populous province, home to 15 million people in 2022. That's nearly twice the population of Quebec's 8.7 million and almost 3 times more than British Columbia's 5.3 million. And those 15 million people represent over 38% of Canada's entire population. And the two largest cities in Ontario are Toronto and Ottawa. And Toronto, also the largest city in Canada, is home to 5.6 million people. Ottawa Gatineau is Canada's 6th largest city with a population of a little over 1 million people. And side note, these are 2022 numbers, so it depends when you're watching this video. So how do you decide which city is better? Ottawa is the nation's capital. Toronto is the nation's largest city. That doesn't give you quite enough information. The best place to start to really compare is by looking at some of those numbers. A good metric for any city is the density of the population. Ottawa is a sprawling city with lots of green space and a population density of 334 people per square kilometer. The city covers 2,700 square kilometers. Toronto is far more compact. The city itself covers 630 square kilometers, and the metropolitan area is far larger with about 5,900 square kilometers. And the population density in Toronto is 4,334 people per square kilometer. And population density tells a lot about a city. Toronto is more urban, higher density housing such as large apartment buildings, and Ottawa has more single family homes and smaller multi-family units. And as a more compact city, Toronto is less reliant on cars for transportation, although traffic can be a challenge. And Ottawa has more open space for recreation, but your family will be more reliant on a car in most suburban areas, certainly when you're outside the Greenbelt area of Ottawa. And the bottom line about population density is that the more people per square kilometer, the more crowded a city feels. And the lower population density plays a large part in Ottawa's laid-back vibe. Higher population density contributes to Toronto's bustling, busy atmosphere. Toronto is the largest economy in Canada, creating 20% of the country's GDP, gross domestic product. It's a world financial financial, industrial, and commercial hub with thousands of business operating within its borders. Toronto's key industries include finance, media, entertainment, technology, and tourism. About half of Canada's companies are headquartered in the Greater Toronto Area. And the Central Business District is huge, encompassing hundreds of different industries. Well-known companies with Canadian headquarters in Toronto include Apple, Coca-Cola, Google, McDonald's, and Toyota. And companies with global headquarters in Toronto include Four Seasons Hotels and Resorts and Manulife Financial. Ottawa is the nation's capital and home of federal government, which serves as the city's largest employer, with over 127,000 people of the national capital area work for the Public Service of Canada. That's 40% of public service employees in the nation. And tech giant Shopify was founded and it's headquartered in Ottawa, spearheading the area's outsized tech presence. IBM, 3M, Nokia, Lockheed Martin, Adobe Systems all have locations in the city. And startups and smaller tech companies number in the thousands. Together, tech companies are estimated to employ about 74,000 people in Ottawa. And Ottawa is also home to 3 major hospitals, 2 public colleges, and 2 universities. In 2016, 22% of Ottawa's workforce was employed in health and education. And Ottawa's niches are large, but the smaller city doesn't have the diversity of opportunity of Toronto. And no other city in Canada does, to be honest. Whether Toronto or Ottawa is better for real estate depends on whether you're buying or you're selling. The average price for a home in Toronto in November of 2022 was $1,079,000. In Ottawa, the average price was $621,000. Broken down further, the average single-family detached home in Toronto was $1,390,000. An average detached home in Ottawa was $680,000. The average condo price in Toronto was $708,000 compared to Ottawa's $415,000. Clearly, these numbers fall in favor of Ottawa. You also pay both provincial and municipal land transfer taxes when you buy a home in Toronto. Ottawa does not have a municipal tax, only a provincial one. So you have a little bit of a savings there. And to put this in perspective, let's say you were purchasing an $800,000 home. In Toronto, the land transfer tax total would cost you actually about $24,950. And that $800,000 spent in Ottawa in land transfer tax calculations would cost you $12,475. And both markets saw record growth during the pandemic, which is only now starting to kind of calm down and ease. And the long-standing shortage of homes across the country affected both areas, likely preventing prices from dipping. Ottawa is a sprawling city encompassing many former independent municipalities, and most people drive to work, they run errands, or they have social engagements. And with a liter of gas currently running about $1.85, those trips can actually get pretty expensive. And Ottawa's public transit infrastructure is reasonably good, and a monthly pass costs about $125. And the combination of regular ground transit and light rail transit is okay. It's not great, but it's okay. And it's struggling to stay consistent, and the scheduling conflicts and the hiccups of implementing the brand new LRT, light rail transit, has actually caused a lot of issues. And hopefully they're going to get this resolved soon. The geographical expanse of Ottawa and the service issues have added to the total trip time. Commuting time has risen 84 minutes per day for Ottawa residents. A liter of gas costs about the same in Toronto, but fewer people rely exclusively on their cars. Toronto has an excellent public transit and subway system, one of the best actually in the country, and it reaches the suburbs and runs all the time and takes you anywhere you need to go. A monthly transit pass will cost you about $156. That sounds great, but the average commute time in Toronto is a daunting 96 minutes a day. That's the 6th worst commute time in the world. Even in a smaller geographical area, it takes longer to get around in Toronto than in Ottawa. And so if you like to drive to work, Ottawa is better. If you like public transit and want to rely on it, Toronto has the advantage here. Reports from Toronto Police Service show that crime increased 2022 with over 44,000 major crimes reported. And major crimes include assault, robbery, theft, sexual assault, and homicide. And of these categories, only homicides decreased. The Police Ottawa Service does not break down crime statistics in the same way that Toronto does. It's much more granular with stats on specific types of crime, which makes it more difficult to compare, apples to apples. But To get more of a comparison between these two great cities, as well as the other cities across Canada, we can use the Crime Severity Index, which indicates both the amount of crime and the seriousness of the offenses. And in 2021, the CSI reported scores for 84 cities with populations over 25,000. And these are just a sample of a few of these rankings, but essentially the higher the score, the less crime. Toronto ranked 66th place, whereas Ottawa ranked 71st place. Whereas Maclean's, a major national publication, tracks and measures reports on violent crime severity as their primary index. Here's the ranking using that statistic. And these rankings slightly change for the various city positions, but again, the best way to look at these rankings is knowing that the higher the score, the lower the crime. When deciding which city has better weather, Ottawa and Toronto both have their advantages and disadvantages. Toronto has milder winter and generally less snow compared to Ottawa, while Ottawa experiences colder temperatures during the winter, although Ottawa has more sunny days than Toronto on an annual basis. And the difference between the two are not too far off, which is understandable considering that geographically they're not that far apart. And the one thing that both cities have in common is that although they can be unpredictable, the weather offers something new year-round, and it can shift considerably in one day. Ultimately, it can be said that if you enjoy heat in the summer and cold winters, Ottawa may be the better choice. Those who prefer more mild winters should opt for Toronto. When it comes to entertainment, Ottawa and Toronto have much to offer. In Ottawa, visitors can enjoy a wide range of activities such as exploring the historic Parliament buildings and other nearby attractions like the Rideau Canal, the Byward Market, and Canada's Aviation and Space Museum. And as for Toronto, there's an abundance of activities for our guests to explore like Casa Loma, Ed Mirvish Theatre, and Ripley's Aquarium. Whether you're looking for a family outing or a night out on the town with friends, both cities deliver quality entertainment choices guaranteed to meet your needs. And both Ottawa and Toronto offer a great many entertainment options for families to enjoy. However, when it comes to sheer variety, Toronto takes the cake. From world-class attractions like the CN Tower, to Ripley's Aquarium, Ontario Science Centre, to family-friendly cinemas, bowling alleys, amusement parks, many of Canada's most beloved family activities are located in Toronto. Additionally, it's not uncommon for festivals and concerts to grace the streets of Toronto during summer months, providing energy, vibrancy, and truly unforgettable experiences. On the other hand, Ottawa also provides excellent entertainment opportunities. However, these tend to lean towards more cultural experiences such as museums and national sites like Parliament Hill. All in all, when considering the entertainment options for families that span broad spectrum of interests and ages, Toronto clearly trumps its neighboring city. When it comes to healthcare, both Ottawa and Toronto offer good options. However, in many cases, the two cities different strengths and weaknesses that make one better than the other depend on a variety of factors. For example, when it comes to accessibility, Ottawa's healthcare system is spread throughout the city, making medical services much easier to access in comparison to Toronto, which tends to have a more centralized options. And Toronto also has more specialized medical facilities available, which may be more desirable for those living with rarer conditions. However, Ottawa typically has lower waiting times at hospitals when compared to its Ontario counterpart. Ultimately, whether Ottawa or Toronto provides better healthcare will depend heavily on the individual's requirements and preferences. Canada's two biggest cities, Ottawa and Toronto, both offer excellent healthcare access for families in a range of ways. However, if the convenience of proximity is a deciding factor, then Ottawa may be the better choice. In addition to regular family physician offices, there are numerous walk-in clinics, urgent care centers, and specialty health providers in Ottawa available to families at all hours. And when it comes to lifestyle sources of support for families such as gyms, recreation centers, and parks, again, Ottawa has an abundance. With smaller population comes greater access to facilities such as these more easily than the hustle and bustle of the big city in Ontario. When it comes to deciding which city has better education between Ottawa and Toronto, several factors need to be considered. Ottawa offers higher quality of primary and secondary schooling with a larger variety of private and international focused institutions than compared to Toronto. However, Toronto is often preferred for its vast selection of post-secondary options. Notably, the University of Toronto is highly ranked on a global scale, making it ideal for those wishing to pursue studies at the highest level. Ultimately, both cities offer great educational possibilities. So when choosing one, it's best to reflect on your individual educational educational needs and lifestyle preferences. And when it comes to choosing the best city for education for families, Ottawa and Toronto are both great options. Ottawa offers many wonderful schools such as Carleton University and the University of Ottawa that rank highly in national standings. And families living in Ottawa have access to a wide range of post-secondary institutions with an excellent reputation. In addition, there are numerous daycare centers and private schools that can provide children with comprehensive education experiences. On the other hand, Toronto is home to some of the largest universities in Canada, such as University of Toronto, as well as York University, which has world-class academic programs. And high school students also benefit from the extensive language programs offered at multiple advanced level at high schools. Ultimately, families looking for an educational experience will find that between Ottawa and Toronto, both cities offer distinct advantages for unique learning experience. Considering the difference in population between the two cities, Ottawa does pretty well. Toronto has one public college and university for every 700,000 people, and Ottawa has one for every 250,000 people. When considering which city to live in, Ottawa and Toronto offer distinct advantages. For example, Ottawa is known for its picturesque surroundings and impressive cultural attractions, offering magnificent views of the Ottawa River and the Rideau Canal. In contrast, Toronto is Canada's most populous city, with plenty of world-class restaurants, entertainment venues, and museums and art galleries. And the cost of living in both cities can vary according to location. However, overall, it tends to be more expensive to live in Toronto due to the higher demand of services and amenities. Ultimately, the decision of which city is better to live in depends on what a person wants out of their life experiences. Whether they want to take in beautiful nature vistas and experiencing all that the bustling major metropolitan area has to offer. When deciding on relocating, it's important to understand what's most important to you and your family. And speaking of relocating, if you have any questions about the moving process, feel free to reach out to us. Give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, even wrap it up in a bow and send it first class, because we got your back. We're moving to Ottawa or anywhere across Canada. And each and every week we're bringing brand new videos just like this one, so make sure to tap that subscribe button and click the bell so you're notified each and every time we do a brand new video. Till next time, take care.